Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about regular verbs in the present tense and how we can conjugate them in Spanish. I can't emphasize how important it is to make sure you are very good with your conjugations, especially in the present tense in Spanish, because the verb conjugations only get more complicated going forward, and there are a lot of exceptions. So being very strong with regular present tense conjugations is incredibly important. So let's get into it. So to get started, let's imagine some verbs. Hablar, comer, escribir. To talk or speak, to eat, to write. These are some basic Spanish verbs, and we can notice a few key parts about the word. There are two parts to each verb. There is the stem, which is the first part of the verb, and there is an ending. So as we go through each of these verbs, hablar we can break into habla and ar, which is our ending, ar. And then for comer, the stem is com, and the ending is er, er. And then for escribir, stem is escrib, and then ir, or ir, is our ending. Now, what's the point of knowing which one is the stem and which one is the ending? Well, not only will it make understanding stem-changing verbs easier, but the ending is what we're dealing with when we're doing these conjugations. In regular verbs where there's not exceptions, you don't have to worry about the stem. The stem stays the same. It's the ending that changes. And so when we're talking about these verbs and categorizing them into types, we're left with AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. Those are the types of verbs we'll be working with, and those all have distinct conjugations. Now, before we get into talking about these conjugations and what specific endings you use, a quick review on subject pronouns is incredibly important as well. Now, this basic chart is something I'll use for verb conjugations as well as subject pronouns. So, taking a look here, we're going to be filling in the subject pronouns. It's very helpful to remember which subject pronoun goes in which spot. As you continue to learn Spanish, you'll see this all the time. This is typically how verbs are displayed using this chart. So let's use this to review our subject pronouns. First up in the top left, it is yo, or I. Next up, tú, which means you. The informal version, which is, I feel like, the more common one, at least that I'm using with my students. Next up, we have él, ella, y usted, all in the same spot. Él, ella, usted. Next, over on this side, the top box, we have nosotros or nosotras. I do not usually use vosotros form with my students. And then ellos, ellas, ustedes. Now with these subject pronouns, you're going to need to know which subject pronoun to use when you are conjugating. So typically it will tell you, such as saying one of these words, or maybe it includes names of individuals. That being said, we need to have a basic understanding of the subject pronouns first before we can even get into the specifics of the conjugations. Now, let's break down the conjugations a little bit. So, again, using the same format here, we're going to be first starting with AR verbs. Any regular verb that ends in AR. So, for our AR verbs, once again, I'm drawing my same chart here, and if you're new to this, you could be matching up the subjects with whatever the verb ending is. So, these are the endings. So, what are the specific endings? For the yo form, the letter O. For the do form, AS. For the él, ella, usted form, simply a letter A. For the nosotros form, it's going to be AMOS, amos. And for the ellos, ellas, ustedes form, it's going to be AN. Now we have our endings here. How are we going to go about conjugating the verb? We have our endings. Let's take our sample verb hablar. With hablar, we're going to first remove the ending. Remember, earlier we identified that the first part of the verb is the stem. We're not going to mess with that. We're going to remove our ending. So I'm just going to erase the AR. Now, I have to conjugate the verb at this time. To conjugate it, I need to know what my subject is and then put the correct ending on it. In this case, since I'm teaching about it, we're going to go through all 5 different subject pronouns. Once again, I'm making our favorite verb chart here that's going to be helping us out a lot. And what we're going to do is simply add our ending to the stem. So in the case of hablar, we already got the AR off. Now we're ready to add our endings in. So hablar, we have the stem habl, and we're going to add the O for the yo form. So we have hablo. Next up, tú, we're going to add an AS to the end, hablas. Next up, él, ella, usted, habla. Next up, nosotros, we're going to add amos to the end, hablamos. And then finally, let's add hablan. That is the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. We're left with hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, hablan. These endings here were made simply from adding the ending to the stem of the word. And any regular AR verb that's in present tense will follow the same format. How about we do another verb to practice? How about cantar? Our verb is cantar. What's the first step we're going to do? We're going to remove the AR, which is our ending. Now, cant is the stem here. So, I'm going to be going through once again and adding the different endings. So, to get started, yo canto. Tú cantas. Él, ella, usted canta. Nosotros cantamos. Y ellos, ellas, ustedes cantan. So when I'm doing this, I just follow the format each time. Next up, let's do the same thing with ER verbs. Now, a shortcut to remind yourself of what the endings are for an ER verb, they're the same endings as the AR verbs, you just replace the A's with E's. So, for the yo form, it will be also the letter O. For the tú form, instead of AS, it will be ES. For él, ella, usted, it's going to be the letter E. Nosotros will be hemos, E-M-O-S. And for ellos, ellas, ustedes, it will be N, E-N. Now, you've got these forms here. We're going to practice with our sample verbs. Let's start with comer. With comer, the first thing we'll do is remove our ending, which is the ER. I'll remove the ER, and then let's match up our endings. Our stem, com, como, yo como, tú comes, él, ella, usted come, nosotros comemos, ellos, ellas, ustedes comen. The same format still applies here. You just apply the endings to whatever the word is and use that as a sample. Finally, we're going to do IR verbs, and you'll notice I haven't really erased much here on my chart. For the IR verbs, there's only one change we're going to make between the ER verbs and the IR verbs, and that is nosotros form, rather than hemos, E-M-O-S, it becomes imos, I-M-O-S. Otherwise, all of the conjugations are exactly the same. O, S, E, imos, N. Let's do one more verb to practice, escribir. For escribir, I'm going to take off my ending, get rid of that IR, and I'm left with escrib. So I'll use my same endings. Yo escribo, tú escribes. Él, ella, usted, escribe. Nosotros escribimos, don't forget the I. And finally, escriben. That's the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So that sort of wraps up our conjugation overview of AR, ER, and IR verbs. There will be a future video for some more examples to help you practice, but in the meantime, I will put some links below if you need additional help. Thanks again for watching.